Here are 3 simple ideas that will change your life. You may have a burning desire, a vision, or a wish. And for whatever it is, there is a traditional route where 99% of people take. It's the obvious route. It's the main entrance where everyone thinks to go in. And then there's some people with privilege. They skip the queue and then they go through the back door. It's still somewhat the traditional route, but nevertheless, they still get in. And then there's a route where not many people even know or talk about, and it's called the third door. And this is the route where you go through the side, you knock on every door, every window until you see an opening, and you literally break down the window. And this route is the more unconventional route to get to where you want to go to. And this concept I got from a book I read called The Third Door. And the whole premise behind the book was people who took unconventional paths towards their careers. And I think people forget far too often that there are untrodden paths that literally anyone can take. You don't necessarily need to do what everyone else has done before. And the funny thing is, a lot of people reach somewhat of a similar destination just by taking different routes. Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own situation, have their own set of skills and circumstances. And admittedly, I've done it before where you could follow a set of rules, but that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed success. And weirdly enough, we all do it. We just wait for permission to do things. Permission to take time off work. Permission to speak. Permission to take action. And if we're not asking permission, we're just doing what everyone else has done. And at times it feels like you could be on this conveyor belt, all performing similar narratives. And our lives and actions are all seemingly going the same direction. Just doing what the person did before us. And then we end up doing the same. So the person who sees us does that, and it just continues the cycle. There are key pivotal moments in your life where you have to make choices, whether it's your career, your partner, where you decide to live. And you could choose the default options that are presented to you, the options that everybody else sees, or you can create your own options and create your own path. Talk to strangers. There's a scene from The Wolf of Wall Street where Leonardo DiCaprio plays Jordan Belfort, and in this scene in particular, he picks up the phone and he calls a complete stranger and sells them stocks. The whole office is quiet and they're in awe at what he has just done. How did this guy with no experience manage to shame everyone and do what no one else has done? It was like he had just performed some type of magic. But what he had done was master the art of communication. Because in my opinion, striking up a conversation doesn't always have to be difficult. It can actually be quite enjoyable if you're actually good at it. Now, the only time where you might have the courage to speak to strangers maybe at social events, maybe after you've had a drink or two. And especially in cities, people tend to not really even say hello to each other. And nowadays, conversations only seem to happen when one party actually wants something from the other. And the nature of communication has kind of lost its magic. Whenever I go to Mediterranean countries, especially outside of the cities, they all say hello to each other. The other day I was in an Italian coffee shop and this old man just started talking to me, and he was telling me about how he's visiting his daughter over in London. And for him, it was normal just to have a conversation, because that's what humans are inherently meant to do and inherently meant to make connections. Talk to each other, not just walking past each other with our headphones on, paying no attention to our surroundings. And as a result of talking to new people, I am more optimistic. And just think about how many social and economic opportunities you've missed out on simply by being afraid to talk to somebody. Rethink long-term thinking. I mean, if you're clued up, the majority of people know that compounding interest pays off. But this idea of the long term is harder than what most people realize. And I often find that the skills and the mentality needed to think long term are often minimized, which is why most people don't execute effectively. And in this day and age, the world changes fast. And it helps to have a flexible mindset when it comes to your ideas. We shouldn't be attached to ideas because that would have them owning us. Because for even a long-term thinker, sometimes it can be a bit of a crutch. Like when you can't let go of something, or the way they used to do something. What may be true back then may not be true now. Long-term thinking requires you to think about the areas that you're willing to be patient in, knowing the constraints of your chosen field, and putting everything else in a bucket that needs adapting and reviewing from time to time. And there should only be very few things that never change, because everything else has an expiry date.